Hi everyone, Lady Bachar Angela here with a repaint of a Cave Club doll, and it is the third installment of my Gelfling series, and here we go. These are the items that I had just kind of laying about. I didn't use all of them, but I did use some of them. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making some leather pieces. I wanted you guys to kind of see my process a little bit. I'm putting rivets in, I'm putting grommets in that are super tiny. They're about 2 millimeters or 1.5 millimeter, depending on which ones I had on hand. And right now I'm just trying to make the little belt and a staff holder. And this is where you can see I'm making the belt that was in the previous clip, so with the belt buckle. So yes, it was hard because it was very tiny and there was different angles that I wasn't able to get at. So I had to sew things together instead of just riveting them together. So yeah, I like working with leather or pleather if you know, for this one. This is actually from Meg from Jointed Designs. So I took a little bit of that from some of my scraps from before and I made him a belt. So here I am using 100% acetone and I am going to remove his face. I did take off his head, I did take out his hair. Again, just the boil mug process. So I did take everything off. I took his hair off and everything with acetone. So this is the hair that I'm going to be using. And I really liked both colors, so I wasn't sure which one to use. So I'm like, let's just use both. So that's what I did. So here I just cut some to length because I was trying to do some dreads or some dreadlocks, and it just, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it. So I kept it like this. I only did the outline or the edge of the hair, and later on I will flock the sides and the top. So this is something new that I found. One of the doll makers on YouTube uses this, and I can't remember which one it is. If you know, please let me know. I know Delightful got some from her, and that's how I knew, because I was going back and I was rewatching some, but it's sort of like a polymorph. It's almost like Warbler, but it's a plastic. So you just heat it up in some hot water. Not too hot, but it only takes about 2 minutes to stop working, but you can reheat it and then start morphing it again. So it comes in these little pellets and you put it in the water and then it basically clumps together. So I use that on his ears, and I'm not sure about it. It held really well. I also used it for his staff, just because I had some left over, and you don't need a whole lot, to be honest. I don't know why I got that big container, but I did use it on his gills as well. The only thing that I see that I didn't want to deal with was the seam lines, and you can sand it, but I just didn't. I was just a bit lazy. So I have MSC'd him. I have wrapped his hair up, and I've done the first initial sketch of how I want him to look. I did paint his gills and his ears, and I didn't want them to be his same skin tone. I wanted them to be the green, aqua, blue type of color. So, and then I just put his head back on. So I did it without heating it, and I squished it and, you know, wrenched it and everything. And the polymorph did not come off at all, so I didn't have to do anything to that. It dries in about 5 minutes, so I mean, it's actually pretty good. I don't mind it at all. It's just the seam lines. But I found that you can take a utensil, like a metal utensil, and heat it up in the water and actually press it down into the vinyl, and it'll kind of make those seam lines less visible. But I was going to cover it up anyway with either clothes or hair, so I didn't mind. But here I am just sketching in his eyes, and I wanted him to have not brown. So I went with a green, a dark green on top, and a blue on the bottom, and it became light blue when I actually used the white watercolor pencil on it to kind of blend it in, and it kind of popped out, and I really liked that. So I didn't do too much on his face just because there was going to be a lot going on, just like my other Gelflings in the series. Very simple face, very cute, not too many details, because obviously Gelflings don't have eyebrows in the sense that they have hair, but they do have brows, and that's why the Cave Club just kind of lends its sculpt to being a Gelfling. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one actually. I really enjoyed using the polymorph, having it dry in 5 minutes, having me paint it, and then be done with it, instead of having to wait overnight for something else to dry, the green stuff to dry, or epoxy to dry, or something like that. But I believe you can sand this. I wouldn't do it inside. I didn't sand anything. Obviously, I was just a bit lazy. So that's why I didn't do that. So, but excuse me. I think that this one so far, other than maybe Duna, I mean, they're all my favorites so far. Is that possible? They're all different in their own ways, and so that makes them all very, very unique and my favorites because they're all different. But this one in particular, I tried some new things. Of course, the polymorph that you saw. Later on in the video, I will be using some gold leaf, which is really cool. I really like the effect of that. So maybe some dolls or something in the future, I'll be using that as well, because I have tons of it. So in here, I am just again sketching in details here and there. Again, of course, putting in the aqua forehead, green forehead, putting some gold tint to it as well. I also gave him some scars. I just got done doing Libby's Meek's doll Laszlo, and he had scars on his face, and I was like, yes, more scars. So that's what I did. I gave him some more scars, and I gave him 2 actually, and this is just kind of my process, how I do it. It's, you know, it's not realistic and by any means, but I just put down the white because he is a little bit darker toned skin, and I put the red brownish color over it, and then I highlighted it and gave it a little bit of shadow on each side. So just here and there, just to kind of make things pop but not stand out, to take things away from the overall sculpt. And yes, I did give him chest hair. I don't know why. I just sprayed half his body. I just sprayed the upper part of his body because of the gills, and I wanted to save my acrylic paint there, and I just kind of started going in with my pencil and just he has just hair. You won't ever see it because he's sewn into his outfit, so you'll never see it. But I know it's there, and you know it's there. Oh goodness. So next we'll see the gold leaf, and how I do it is very simple. You can use glue. I would suggest glue. I just this is what I had on hand. So I'm just using some gloss. I'm just tapping on some gloss here and there, and then I'm going to just tap this little sheet of gold leaf onto wherever I need it to be. And then it's very easy to tear. It's seriously, it's like a leaf. It blows and it just falls off your desk and crumples and everything. So I like the crumple look. I think it's very cool. So that's why I did that. I did it on both of his ears and then a bit on his forehead. So you'll see me, and I saved the rest of the paper, or the leaf. So I'm not sure if this is actually, I don't believe this is gold. This is like a fake gold, you know. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it. The Gelflings in the series and in the movie do not have this. This was purely just my own artistic, oh, let's do this instead, type of thing that just kind of overtook me. And I was like, how do I use this? This is only the second time I've ever used this in like the 5 years that I've had it. So I had it for one project and that was it. So it's just been sitting. But I really like the effect. I really do. So this is how he turned out. And I'm pretty much done with the face up except the gloss. So, and that's coming up now. So I'll be doing his lips, his eyes, and a little on his scars. And I did also gloss his gills because obviously, if you haven't noticed yet, this Gelfling is actually a little different than all of the rest of the Gelflings that I've done so far. And I'll let you know a little bit more later on when I actually tell his story and why that is. So yes, I did gloss those as well. I really enjoy this process for him. It only took a couple days. I was so excited. Yeah, I really wanted him to have like almost like a smexy kind of look, you know. Have a little bit of scars, you know, have his hair to one side, have longer hair, and that kind of thing. So, and I gave him chops, some chops on the side of his head, just to kind of hide the polymorph ears that I got on there. And the ears were a little bit different. I was trying to do, my idea was having like a webbed ear of sorts, but this being my first time using this, I just went with like a little burp, little ear like that. So here he is. I did sew him into his pants and I did his hair. I think he looks gorgeous like this. So I did sew him into his pants because I didn't put a clasp on it because I knew that I wasn't going to be taking him out of anything. This is his spear, and yes, it does have a little bit of gold leaf, and his lantern because of where he lives. And here are his bola. This is a weapon, and I also gave this to the Sprighton Gelfling that I have as well. So here's his sword, here's his belt. And this thing right here, wrong piece of base cloth. Should have used cotton. Do not do what I did. I don't end up using it. So, yeah. So here's his armor and let's get him dressed. Physically divergent, these Gelfling have gills on their neck which gives them the ability to swim underwater. Females of this clan, their wings are too heavy to fly but very strong for swimming. Their skin is tinted green due to the diet of lichen and algae. Some had more tan skin, mostly travelers or guards, due to eating outside the Sog. Strongest of the Gelfling, they are known as great warriors, hunters, and healers. Drenton didn't always have gills. It was a gift bestowed in return for the protection of the great tree. Sog was a bit isolated, but were a large clan who lived in the great tree and its boughs, also characterized by hard talk, which is blunt, honest, and straightforward. Gihl is a very stoic type of Gelfling, but once he gets to know you, he is fun and caring and gives strength to those around him. He has a spear with a blue stone for the spearhead, which symbolizes spirituality, and the wood represents mortality. He made this spear when he was accepted as an adult. He is the strongest and level-headed warrior the Drenchen have. Unfortunately, Gihl cannot heal like most Drenchen. He is not green-tinged like most either, but his forehead. This might be due to his Brighton ancestor and a long line of Drenchen. This may be why he cannot heal like other Drenchen, but he does have a way with animals. As Mashdale and Duna travel eastward toward the Dark One, they come across a large animal they both had never seen. The animal was a squidlike. Of course, not knowing the animal would defend itself, but was otherwise harmless, they took fighting stances, and the squid attacked after being threatened. As they were trying their hardest to gain the upper hand, a tentacle shot out and grabbed Mashdale and started dragging him into the swamp. Almost all the way in, out jumps a mossy stump with a spear and sliced the tentacle off Mashdale. They were greeted by a Drenchen Gelfling named Gihl. They were brought back to the great tree to share a meal with Gil's family. Duna told them of their journey. She was given a sign that Gihl would be joining their journey in the form of ripples, flowing towards Gihl in his soup bowl and nobody else's. Later they both asked for Gihl to join them to find the Dark One. Gihl isn't as open to the idea until he talks to the Maudra, his mother. She believes in the siphon's soothsaying powers and believes her son should go as it may lead to wonderful things. So Gihl, Duna, and Mashdale head out eastward, letting fate and a sense of destiny guide them.